apparently we've died and went to heaven because Beetlejuice, the sequel to Beetlejuice, has reached the masses and we watched it. So Aiden, what's the plot of Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice is a follow-up to Beetlejuice. Gonna be saying that a lot. Lydia is now all grown up and her daughter Jenna Ortega comes with her to her father's funeral. Jenna Ortega's grandfather's funeral. After some stuff, Jenna Ortega befriends a ghost, or starts dating a ghost on accident, and gets her soul stolen. And Beetlejuice is pulled back into the picture, and wacky hijinks ensue. Lots of very wacky hijinks of assorted plot lines, length, detail. If they did not get concluded, sometimes they're just throwing everything at the wall. And what did you think of Beetlejuice?
I really liked Beetlejuice. It's the first Tim Burton movie of this century that I liked, besides The Corpse Bride, but that was just like half Tim Burton, whatever. But for the most part, Tim Burton has fallen into a weird CGI well for 2.5 decades now.
Yes, he is.
That he seems to be unable to escape. His glory days of like 5 or 6 films early on, Batman, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, and such, is behind him. And he moved into the CGI hellscape. Think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake.
Oh yeah.
Dumbo. He did fucking Planet of the Apes remake. Alice in Wonderland he did.
Mm-hmm.
So he's done a lot of shit the last 2.5 decades. He's produced a lot of stuff. But he's back, and he wanted to make a Tim Burton movie again for the first time in a few decades. And that's what he did. I will say, compared to his old fantastical movies, this is probably the most like nonsensical and dementia-ridden. There is tons of plot lines. They all kind of wrap up, kind of. Like they all just a lot of shit happens in this movie. A lot of weird happenings that eventually lead to a series of odd events that lead Jenna Ortega, Winona Ryder, and Grandma to the afterlife, and in need of Beetlejuice for Beetlejuice hijinks. Much like the first Beetlejuice, the original Beetlejuice, you got Alec Baldwin and his wife as like the main characters. Like, oh, we're dead now. How do we be dead? Good. And that was kind of the plot of the movie. And then later on, Winona Ryder's like, I can see dead people, and everyone's like, shut the fuck up. And then she meets Beetlejuice. And this movie is like, it forgoes the main characters of the original Beetlejuice in favor of Winona Ryder, and a couple people come back over. And at times it's a movie about dealing with grief or understanding grief. Just kind of weird vignettes. Winona Ryder becomes washed up and is a weird like Valium mom who runs a ghost television show. Even Michael Keaton has just kind of gotten bored with his business of being a bioexorcist and makes Bob do all the work while he runs on wacky adventures of hijinks. Jenna Ortega's trying to find belonging because she only really identified with her dad, and her mom became a weird wine Valium mom.
Monica Bellucci wants to remarry Beetlejuice after they both died.
Yep. Monica Bellucci
and she's a soul sucker, and she doesn't have a single line in this movie.
Yep.
Oh no, she has one at the very end. That's like 4 words.
everybody just does shit. There's a lot of random, like, there's even a side plot with Willem Dafoe as
The best
cop movie guy. Like, he kind of has, like,
yeah, he's like an 80s action star who pretends to be a cop.
He plays, like, Sylvester, somewhere in between, like, Sylvester Stallone and Steven Seagal.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's great. Just, like, some washed-up action star who
died during
3,000 sequels to his own movie, died during his own stunts, reads off of flashcards. Everybody's got kind of that coked up 80s energy that Tim Burton relied so heavily upon on his early
Danny
glory
DeVito's
days.
in the movie for 5 minutes.
Danny DeVito's in the movie for 5 minutes because he did Dumbo with Tim Burton, and I guess they got along well.
He did Batman Returns, too.
Oh yeah, he did. So Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito both go back with Tim Burton. Obviously Winona Ryder too at this point because she did Beetlejuice however the fuck long ago.
Yeah. Danny DeVito's a janitor for 5 minutes who accidentally wakes Monica Bellucci up before she does hijinks.
Yeah, people just wanted to work on Tim Burton's first Tim Burton movie in a quarter of a century, so they decided to do tiny cameo roles or in Willem Dafoe's case, just have probably a total screen time of like 12 minutes, but the entire thing is just a weird subplot where he's trying to hunt Beetlejuice, but he's inadequate, and he has a bunch of inadequate cops, and he kind of just runs around like a dumbass.
Yeah.
The world of the undead is odd.
They give him this stupid running gag where every time he finishes a sentence, his secretary comes and gives him a coffee.
Yeah.
Even like after his action scene at the end, after he gets unfrozen, she's there with a cup of coffee.
Yeah. And I feel like Tim Burton still demands his massive budgets. I'm sure it's like much less than like, it's probably a micro budget when compared to like a Marvel movie. But rather than making it $80 million or whatever of CGI puke, he's like, oh, I can do a lot of old Tim Burton stuff with new technology for cheaper, weird animated sequences occasionally, just
some stop motion,
odd, heavily stylized, still kind of in the surrealist world of early Burton. And actually, he kind of tries to keep the real world mostly grounded as he did in the original movie. I find with late-era Burton movies like Alice in Wonderland, there's
just a fucking
sheen Disney World on the top that's still kind of majestic and magical and unreal, and then it goes underground.
Complete insanity.
But it's almost shot in such a way like it's 80s film cameras, like how they try to make it feel like heavy and luggish. The shot compositions often feel like the style of the 80s, or at least Burton's style in the 80s, which translated to a lot of filmmakers at the time. This doesn't feel like some nostalgia sequels. You got like The Force Awakens, for example, where it's like, okay, we're gonna shoot A New Hope again like a Marvel movie. This is like, obviously it's made on maximum super 4K cameras, but they took care from like a lighting standpoint and stuff too, and from like from a cinematography standpoint, and even from the camera motions to really give it that early Burton vibe. Like Burton was trying to copy himself or be like, I can still do these. I just, I do. This is work. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's my passion, kind of thing. I think that's what Tim Burton was trying to prove with this movie. But it's a lot of plots, but it's a lot of fun. I like all the characters quite a bit. They're all kind of two-dimensional and cheesy in the same way that Tim Burton's movies always were back in the day, but in a charming way.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice is a quirky meme guy, but the 80s version of a quirky meme guy. And Winona Ryder's still goth Valiant mom. Her dad's wife. I like how she just hangs out with her dad's wife and is like, yeah, my mom's still alive, but she's not that important, I guess. And grandma is quirky Valium grandma, but a different type of quirky Valium grandma.
She's like
than
quirky
she's,
Adderall grandma.
Yeah, she's quirky Adderall, and Winona Ryder's quirky Valium. Then you got her husband, Jared Leto, weird cult leader dude.
Her weird douchebag, like, Scientology husband.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah, it's...
I thought it was a lot of fun. I just kind of enjoyed the idea. I don't feel like at times it was like, oh, is this going to become a coming of age story of Jenna Ortega's character as she finds love with a ghost person? Because I suspected from the start the dude was a ghost. But no, it's just like, oh, I'm actually trying to send you to hell, basically, so I can become alive again. And then Michael Keaton just sends that guy to hell and the plot line's over. Like, it's like 90 different plots in this thing. Like, trying to actually give, like, a succinct synopsis is one of the hardest things ever. It's just a weird joyride in old Tim Burton universe.
It's the shotgun approach to fucking writing a story where everything is on the table.
Yeah, it has it has kind of like the old Tim Burton style with some new tricks up his sleeve, but actually wants to keep a foot in the quirky lighting and sets and stuff rather than imagine how fucking I can bring my concept art to life in 2010 CGI. It's gonna look like fucking vomit, dude. Just use lighting and sets. There's something that feels tangible about this movie over something like Johnny Depp CGI being 4.5 feet tall with a pink face and a CGI top hat. Like, you could just tell that Johnny Depp was in the, like, Alice in Wonderland, you can tell he's in, like, a green screen suit with a bunch of ping pong balls all over it. And that's how they shot the movie. And then even Alice, they don't even really change how she looks that much, but she's in, like, the dress and stuff, but still has, like, 8,000 ping pongs over, so they can make her be in the digital space or whatever. And Tim Burton was getting horny over that. Like, imagine if George Lucas, like, made a new Star Wars movie where he actually, like, tried to use old techniques and it didn't look like the prequels. Like, it's kind of a one-of-a-kind situation. Like, you look at Francis Ford Coppola's new Megatropolis or whatever the fuck, and that looks like CGI puke, because I know Tim Burton's slightly post-New Hollywood, but the boomer directors like their new tricks. They're very much impressed with technology to a debilitating extent. Like, imagine
an iPhone or a drone.
Yeah, or like Robert Zemeckis when he was trying to make like the Beowulf and Polar Express style thing, which never even made sense at the time.
No, film a movie
and to this day, Robert Zemeckis still can't
CGI.
I didn't think Tim Burton had it in him to walk it back, and I can understand why some people would fucking hate this movie, because it's a lot of different plots and none of them are that. It's just nonsense for 2 hours, but it's charming and fun nonsense, and I dug it for what it was, and it was kind of unique, and it was just a fun 2 hours amusement park ride, but not in a repetitive Marvel way, or even really fully repetitive to Tim Burton's old stuff. And it's kind of one of the rare nostalgia sequels too, where, oh, where are these characters 40 years on? But instead of it being like J.J. Abrams or somebody directing the sequel, and like you have like an in loving memory credit for Gene Roddenberry at the end of his Star Trek movie or something, you have like the actual guy was like, I have another story in this universe, or I have 70 stories, 70 vignettes that are going to be loosely tied together. And that was that's what Beetlejuice was, and I fucked with it. So, Aiden, what did you think of Beetlejuice?
It's a lot of fun. It's 15 different semi-connected vignettes of shenanigans. Willem Dafoe is the star of this fucking movie. Every time he's on screen, it's fucking gold. I suspect that, like Danny DeVito, he was brought in for a cameo, and it was so good that they just kept shooting new scenes, because every 10 minutes the movie just pauses itself to have some wacky thing that Willem Dafoe is doing, and it's always great. And they're just shotgunning through plots. I can understand hating this movie, because, like, looking at it, if you're just, like, trying to make a summary of it, it's a fucking disaster. It's a mess. It's all over the place. It's just all of the shit that Tim Burton wanted to put in the movie. He put it all in. He shook it up, and it came out as a disjointed mess of funny and weird and quirky things, and it works for me. You got fantastic production design. There's puppets, there's sets, there's costumes. It looks great. Michael Keaton and Willem Dafoe especially are just having the time of their lives, being stupid as hell. Some of the plots, the Monica Bellucci plot where she just, like, follows Beetlejuice around and soul sucks people, kind of nothing.
Yeah,
in the end, she shows up at the wedding at the end and says, "Beetlejuice, you're mine," and he says, "Uh-oh," and then Jenna Ortega fucking sends her to hell. And it's like, okay, yeah. I guess we're done with
No, that was 100% because the opening scene where she kills Danny DeVito and it plays the fucking song while she staples herself, she looks like the corpse bride and staples herself together.
Yeah.
Tim Burton's like, how do we make this a thing? And they're like, I don't know. And he's like, what if it was like his ex-wife and she's like the villain? Yep. And they're like, you want to do that? He's like, yes. And Jenna Ortega also has a villain. And they're like, okay. And he's like, well, Winona Ryder's got like a husband that's there too, and he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, like her douchebag.
Her douchebag fiance.
He's like a fucking Entourage character.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Everybody kind of feels like that. Also, I like that they just, I forgot, whatever.
And there's just so much fun, stupid shit going on. Like, Beetlejuice assigns Bob to be his fucking decoy and dresses Bob up like himself, and there's a bunch of stupid scenes with Bob and the other shrunken head guys, and fucking Winona Ryder's dad gets eaten by a shark, and there's like this weird animated sequence showing it, and he keeps showing up as a recurring character without a head, or he's just like the bottom half of a torso. And there's like all these scenes of him just walking around spurting blood on people. It's like, it's all stupid nonsense, but it's all fun, stupid nonsense. It's like genuinely funny and fun, and it's all over the place, admittedly. If you're a very plot-centric movie watcher, this is gonna drive you fucking insane. But as a return to some proper Tim Burton-ass Tim Burton, it's fun and charming and weird, and it feels like Tim Burton. It's the first time Tim Burton's made a Tim Burton movie in 30 years, and it's surprisingly fun. So Connor, would you recommend Beetlejuice?
Yes, it's avant-garde in the same realm as Stan Brakhage, and it's as kino as Stanley Kubrick. So Aiden, would you recommend Beetlejuice?
Probably, yeah. I liked it a lot. Some people are gonna really vibe with it. If you're very plot centric, you're gonna go insane. I can understand why a lot of people are bouncing off of this movie because it is just 2 hours of nonsense, but holy hell is it fun nonsense. My chair's really squeaky today. But yeah, I had a great time. I'm gonna recommend it for people who can tolerate 2 hours of shenanigans.
And until next time, Beetle me crazy. We'll see you next week with the Dave Bautista
Killer's game or whatever.
And then the following week, we'll see you with Transformers 1. Then the following week, Joker de Folie Patoolies.